Hello, everyone. Welcome again to Elevating Your Life. Oh, we're going to have fun today. My amazing guest today that I'm thrilled to share with you is Shelly Kurtz. She is the founder of Eagle Point Advisors, supporting philanthropies, nonprofits, and social impact organizers as a strategic advisor. She is a faculty member and author of the Impact Philanthropy Advisor Certification Program from Daylight Advisors and the co-author of The Little World, a
This
how
little
to
world.
this little world, a how-to guide for social innovators. Shelley co-founded an innovation center for technology for public interest, a market intelligence platform for social innovation organized by the UN Sustainable Development Goals Program. She is a recipient of over 50 industry awards. She has led over 200 global campaigns in tech, media, social impact, and entertainment. She is an experienced sales and marketing executive for tech startups and Fortune 500 companies. You advise entrepreneurs, startup ventures, and impact organizations while supporting women and young people with career coaching and mentorship. A public speaker, you do guest lectures. You just do so much, Shelley. How wonderful.
Wow. Well, I'm glad you didn't also read, all of the negative pieces. It's probably just as long, but yes, all of those things are true. It's a mouthful, but at the end of the day, I'm happy to be here. I am in beautiful Gig Harbor, Washington, right here in the Northwest, and I was so happy to meet you and hear about your journey. So I guess we'll take a little bit of time today and talk a little bit about mine.
Yes, yes, so wonderful to meet in person in our beautiful area. I'm so happy. Well, first off, describe your book, This Little World. What kind of brought you to wanting to write that? And then tell us exactly what is a social innovator?
Yeah, sure. Well, like many things in life, it only makes sense perhaps looking backwards. And it was not on my to-do list to write a book. And certainly, if you would have asked me 10 years ago, probably even, 3 or 4 years ago, if this was in my future, I would have, perhaps thought you were talking to the wrong person. But it's true. I did co-author a book. Here it is, This Little World, a how-to guide for social innovators. And the book came about because I got a call, which is, perhaps something that everyone can relate to. You don't always know, what opportunities are on the other side of the door, the phone, the email. But I was contacted by an esteemed university professor, a PhD, who has written over 40 books on technology and history and currently teaches innovation studies at Pacific Lutheran University. And he asked me to write this book about really this moment in time where innovation and impact can come together and create market solutions for some of the world's biggest problems. And he was really curious about it from sort of, um, the landscape of business and perhaps this convergence where, it's getting a little bit messier between nonprofit organizations and government programs and the private sector. And he was looking at it from a theory perspective and also sort of technology and the way it has advanced the opportunities to reach people at the sort of last mile. And I had really done the work as a practitioner and as someone who has created tech for good companies and worked with a lot of organizations, big and small, to really implement change. And so we came together to collaborate on this project, and we're really excited to ultimately just help others feel less intimidated about making an impact and hopefully learning from experience, mostly mine, but also many other exciting innovators that we feature in the book, case studies from people who would never have called themselves an innovator, people that just saw a problem and did something about it, to even the world's largest companies like Microsoft, where there is really a culture of intrapreneurship and looking at ways in which their existing toolkits can be applied to social problem solving. And so when we look at the definition of a social innovator, first of all, it could be anyone. You don't need a particular credential to be a social innovator. You can be a stay-at-home mom or a CEO of a multinational company. A social innovator really just means that you are looking at systems and how you can do something differently to be able to create better outcomes that can be measured either for people or the planet or perhaps both. And so it's really making a measurable impact in an area where you are perhaps not even creating technology, maybe just putting the pieces together differently. And so I really want to encourage anyone at any age or any stage in their life or career to think about ways in which you can make a positive impact. And sometimes that just means seeing something that others don't. So that's really the gist of it. We, of course, provide lots of definitions if you want to, get academic. And I think the language of this work is evolving. So someone may, be familiar with the concept of a social entrepreneur. That really means creating a company from scratch with the purpose to be around a specific mission area that aligns with better outcomes. But really, innovation is a study and practice that can be applied anywhere from anyone.
I love it. I love it. So basically, it's creating ideas and taking steps to improve and grow something. And this can be in all different areas.
That's right. It could be that you're within an organization and you see an opportunity to adopt a new approach. And so by that definition, you are an innovator, and it usually means not being afraid to fail, testing and learning and documenting the differences in approach, and then ultimately helping others find that efficiency and effectiveness. And so I get excited about anyone who sees the opportunity for improvement and takes the steps to do so, either personally or then as an evangelist and advocate for others.
Wow, wow. That just makes me say, I want to be an innovator for everything around me and everything I do and help others. What a beautiful path that is for you. Oh, I can imagine. Do you want to share any examples of what have been really amazing for you in the years of doing this work?
Sure. I'll give you an example of a company that I started, and it's not based on ego, but more because I could give you all of the sort of micro moments along the way, and most of which had nothing to do with me, but it's something I'm really proud of. And the impact area has to do with protecting children who have experienced sexual assault or abuse, or in some way have survived, something traumatic. And I learned about this problem because we really started to understand that often the opportunity to make an impact is already there. You just need to ask. And so we started going on a listening tour around the US and really talking to people who are on the ground working in different impact areas, from youth homelessness to the Ronald McDonald House and Habitat for Humanity and animal welfare organizations, everything in between. And we learned that in the issue of child abuse and neglect, there is this entire system that exists here in the US called child advocacy. And it really is the first step when there's an allegation of abuse. A child goes to a child-friendly location called a Children's Advocacy Center. And the first step is a really sacred piece of this process for their healing, but also for justice. And it's a forensic interview, which means that the child is interviewed by a professional who has been trained in child investigations. And they're really able to let the child tell their own story. And when I heard about this, first of all, I was intrigued as someone who's a mom and, a citizen to just learn more about this area of justice that most of us probably fortunately have not had the opportunity or need to experience firsthand, but it really is such an important area when you think about, children being at the center of this experience. And what we learned is that those child interviews are recorded to mitigate PTSD and the child experiencing additional anxiety with having to share their account with others, including law enforcement and prosecution and mental health therapists. But the challenge was that in most places in the US, those child accounts are burned on DVDs and redistributed to all of these professional team members across different agencies. And in that process, the cases would often be compromised because those DVDs were lost or stolen or mishandled. And so the particular way that we introduced innovation was because we knew that there was already a better way that the private sector and many of us had been consuming media and content instead of burning a DVD and then FedExing it to another agency or driving it across town or across state. We're all used to getting our content on demand, how and when we want to receive it. If you think about watching television shows or accessing movies. And I knew that there were a lot of different security benefits around cloud computing that could include safeguards to ensure that no one that should not have that content would access it. And if they did, that you could shut down access immediately, protect and secure that evidence, and have a really clear chain of custody and path to impact for these children and their families and law enforcement. So we created a system, a software tool to be able to secure and protect that evidence and then immediately provide access to those that should have it and ensure that there was no way for others to get access to that. And today, that company that I started with a co-founder from scratch is now protecting almost 300,000 children across the US and is providing digital transformation for an entire justice system that previously was using outdated technology and not providing the kind of efficiency and effectiveness to really make an impact in this area. So that's an example of the type of innovation that I'm really proud of and that's possible, not with millions of dollars and years of study, but really an interest in asking the right questions. How can technology help in your particular workflow or your environment, or to be able to ultimately get that positive outcome that you so seek, and hopefully be able to apply our various gifts and worldviews and being able to solve that problem.
Yes. And oh my gosh, you creating that. Oh my gosh, how many lives that is helping. Oh my goodness, Shelly.
Well, the exciting part is that, of course, we look at the end user that or that beneficiary. In this case, it's children who have survived abuse and traumatic circumstances. But the ripple effect is that we've also been able to provide a lot of time savings and cost savings to all of these agencies that are working in this field. Over 13,000 agencies today are using this tool, Guardify, to be able to quickly and efficiently share this content and prepare for their work. And you think about then the families and also the fact that you can work upstream in hopefully preventing the bad guys from, this type of, criminal activity in the first place when we can look at, our ability to move resources from all of the bureaucratic logistic pieces and move it upstream to prevention and awareness.
Oh, I love it. I love it. That's amazing. And becoming an innovator, I mean, everyone is unique. And so different people can come up with different ideas. And different tools that can enhance and really make a difference on so many lives. So what would you say to someone listening that says, oh my gosh, I want to be an innovator? What first steps should I take? What would you say to them?
Mm. Well, the good news is there are a lot of on-ramps into, this sort of social innovation superhighway. First, I want to dispel some myths, that you don't need to be a technologist to be able to get into this work. You do need to know what you're good at and what you love to do, because ultimately, if your intention is to make an impact, big or small, you want to get really clear about your role, and so that you can really look at creating your tribal council or surrounding yourselves with others that have different superpowers, whether that is functional, like being an engineer, or perhaps experiential, like being a subject matter expert in that particular area. And so, one of the frameworks we talk a lot about in the book, and certainly that has guided my work in the social impact space, is the Japanese concept of ikigai. And for listeners and viewers, I'll spell it. It's Ikigai. And it's a word that has become popularized because of the work that Dan Buettner did with Blue Zones. Some of you may have heard about that. I know, Paula, you mentioned that you'd seen the National Geographic documentary. And Ikigai was discovered to be something that was really unique in helping provide evidence of longevity in Okinawa, Japan. And at the core, the concept really translates as your reason for being, your reason for waking up every day. And you may be thinking, where is she going with this? What does this have to do with where to start? And I would say that a really interesting and quick exercise to help you navigate that answer would be to look at the answer to at least three questions. If you look online, if you Google search Ikigai, you're usually going to see some Venn diagrams, those sort of four concentric circles. And so we'll talk about the difference between three and four. But the first question is, what am I good at? So you can sort of jot that down or think mentally, what am I good at? And then you can think about, what do I love to do? Okay. And remember, at these two junctures, we've not talked about it in the context of your career or your current job or your work or your experience. Just what do I love to do? What am I good at? The third dimension is, what does the world need? And there are a couple different ways that you could think about that if you were starting there. And you could think about it from a really macro perspective, which are, what are the big issues that we need to address, either in my local community or in my country or in the world. And luckily, there's a really great cheat sheet for that. And it's called the Sustainable Development Goals. And the United Nations created the Sustainable Development Goals as 17 distinct impact areas. And there are a lot of, overlaps in some of the issues. For example, the one we just talked about with child abuse, for example, that could be categorized as the Sustainable Development Goal number 3, which is good health and well-being. I think certainly we would all agree that that is one way to frame that particular area. But another is Sustainable Development Goal number 16, which is peace, justice, and strong institutions. So you could see there are overlapping, elements in any particular, innovation area. But just you could start there, sort of what does the world need, maybe on a big level, or you can start in a very personal way. Maybe you're looking at a particular population of humans, regardless of what their individual needs are. So you can think about, what does the world need? Is this something that's going to make the world better? And usually, even if you have a hypothesis about which impact area you're really drawn to, you probably, would be better off starting by asking a lot of questions, learning and listening, because that's really where the magic is. And so if you think about where to start, I would say, you could start at any one of those questions, but I think getting really clear about your particular role in it is going to be best if you can see the intersection between what you're good at and what you love to do.
Oh,
And those are usually distinct answers. If you think about it, I could say that I love to dance, but I'm not good at it. That's okay. That means it's not a match. I could say that I love doing strategy work and I'm really good at it. That's a match. So think about there. And then the fourth circle that's usually represented in Western culture around Ikigai is what can I get paid for? And no one really wants to talk about that part, but the reality is to really sustain impact and change, there is an economic transfer there. And so you want to be able to not only solve for today, but hopefully when you are removed from that equation, the legacy can continue and sustain itself. So, what are those market dynamics? Is there something that you could create that is not only helpful for that recipient, but potentially there's someone that could pay for that efficiency so that you could really build and grow that unique contribution. So that's where I would say start. And then we really have the beginning of the book. The first chapter is think big, start small. And we give very specific examples about how to do that. And again, if you look at the example I shared about Guardify, it starts with listening.
wow, I love it. I love it. What an amazing book, This Little World. Oh my gosh, oh, now share a little bit. What was that like to co-author this amazing book? You had to work with someone. You have all this great information in there. What was that like for you, that experience?
Mhm. Well, first of all, it was a learning experience. And for anyone that's written a book, I know that you're a prolific author. It really gives you a chance, I think, to be able to learn about how to navigate an area that you perhaps, have not been connected to. In my case, the publishing world was really an area that I was not familiar from working through this process in the past. So I got to learn, I got to go back to school a little bit and learn. And luckily, I had an incredible mentor and collaborator in my co-author, Dr. Michael Halverson, who has written many books in the past. But I think the other piece of the learning is that you get to sort of relive these experiences, and it helps you sort of distill the concrete lessons and markers that you perhaps may not have noticed along the way going a million miles an hour, but provide some reflection and hopefully the opportunity to take really the insights that others could then use and apply. So if I would have done it on my own, I probably would have still been writing. It's a long process to really take everything that is inside and try to organize it and calibrate it appropriately for audiences. But having a co-author certainly helps. Having a deadline definitely provides some incentive, and I think the other challenge is also Mark Twain said it best that it would have been shorter, but it would have taken me too much time. And the reality is, if you're sort of left to your own devices, I could have written probably an encyclopedia about this work, but forcing yourself to really get clear about it accelerates, I think, the opportunity to have an impact. And there is a time-bound incentive. There is a sense of urgency, not only in us writing this book now, but also because we are on a ticking clock in some ways. We've seen the effects of climate change, regardless of your political affiliation. Just this last couple weeks, seeing the effects of Hurricane Helene and now it's follow on hurricanes that we have some really big problems. And so we want to be able to help as many people as quickly as possible start coming to this work from wherever they are. So the book took about 9 months, I would say, from the time we really started writing it in earnest. And probably another 9 months since then in once you sort of deliver it to the publisher and then thinking about how it comes out into the world. And that's been really rewarding to ultimately be
Um,
able to help people.
all your great messages and information, Shelly. You're awesome. And I love that you do lectures, you do speaking, you coach so many areas and people. With a few minutes left, will you share one more time with everyone your website to read more about you? And what last message do you want to give us today, Shelly?
Well, the website is thislittleworld.org. And you can buy the book at Amazon or anywhere books are sold, Barnes and Noble or wherever your favorite site is. And ultimately, we really just want to express the message that the world needs us, that we have a lot of incredible tools that have already been built by others. You can utilize those to really make a difference. And sometimes it's just exactly your perspective, your gifts, your ikigai that are going to move the needle. And so please come to the site not to learn about me, but hopefully to gain some insights. We have the whole first chapter for free, and ultimately we want you to get up and do something today, right now. And if you have any questions on your journey, there are people like me to help you.
I love it. I love it. And it is true, isn't it? Everything starts with those first steps. You
That's right.
know, that's
That's
where
right.
we get it going. And, what you've done with that, what you've assisted others, it's just amazing. And I just think social innovator is just something wonderful for all of us that we can put in our lives and make a difference. And
That's right. You can put on your
yeah,
LinkedIn profile, you can start adding to your biography that you are a social innovator. But you know what that means? You're going to have to do something then because someone's going to ask you, what that means and how you're doing that. And so think about how you can bring others along on your journey. And, maybe it's your gift of podcasting and you can help provide that toolkit to schools or nonprofit organizations or, really helping people who have something to say and don't have a microphone and the wisdom that you have. So definitely watch for Paula Vail, the social innovator.
oh, I love it. Thank you so much, Shelly. And yes, I'm going to think about that every day now. I am a social innovator. And
Perfect.
yes, and just enjoy meeting other social innovators.
Yes. Yes. The law of
We can
attraction.
all
There are a lot
support
of
each
resources.
other.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
Not
Oh my
alone.
goodness. Oh, Shelley, thank you so much. This has been so amazing. I'm really grateful to share you with everyone today.
Thank you, Paula. And I will be sending you your signed copy soon.
Oh, I'm so excited. To everyone, love, hugs, and blessings. Thank you for joining us. Shelley, love, hugs, and blessings.
Thank you.